Welcome back to Fixers and Founders, where vision meets velocity. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
Today's guest, Shane Sloan, a U.S. Army veteran, EOS integrator, and strategic executive at Work Heartily. From Blackhawk crew chief to business engine builder, Shane's career is anything but conventional. He's the guy companies call when operations stall and growth flatlines. Whether it's cleaning up processes, optimizing systems, or helping teams break the firefighting cycle, Shane brings calm clarity to messy moments. With a Vanderbilt MBA and 15 plus years of leadership across tech, real estate, and manufacturing, he speaks fluent nerd and fluent business and helps founders finally scale what they've started. If your business is stuck in the do work phase, this is the episode you've been waiting for. I'm Tony.
I'm Forrest.
This is Fixers and Founders. Let's get it done.
So I actually have my own operational maturity model that I built. I break a company down on those three pillars, right? So if you don't do those three things, you will cease to be as a business, right?
You didn't start a business to put out fires, but here you are, holding the extinguisher. Business isn't theory, it's pressure, late nights, tight margins, the thing that keeps breaking no matter how many times you fix it. When the room's on fire, the amateurs shout, the pros stay calm. That's the Fixers and Founders way. Part discipline, part rebellion. We walk into broken systems, find the pulse, and make it run clean. Because calm isn't weakness. Calm is a strategy. We're operators, builders, problem solvers. Born from the grind. Built for the builders. Join us now as we chat with Fixers and Founders just like you. Let's jump in.
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
I love Nashville.
Good old Music City, baby. Yeah, it's a good time.
The Woohoo Girls or the something girls. What is it?
Woo girls, yes.
Woo Girls. Woo Girls, yeah.
The sash parties, yeah. That's okay. They pay our taxes, so we take
That's right.
We love you. High fives.
Yeah.
I woo back at them, man. If they're partying, good for you. Enjoy your time here in Nashville.
So you've been fractional for what, a couple of years, 3 years, something like that?
Yeah, I'm still relatively new at it. Let's see. I started exploring it probably in the fall of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I signed my first client and started January of that company. It was a truss manufacturer in West Tennessee.
Yeah.
I worked with them for about a year, and then this year I've been working with a different customer, mostly doing AI. Like a year-long service model and a P&L and everything else to go with it to add into an existing MSP.
Okay.
And then we've been testing it with 3 nonprofits, 2 out of Nashville, 1 out of Atlanta. So we've been doing that since September, and then we'll finish like the week of like Christmas. So then I can use that feedback to kind of go back and fix and tweak, and then we're going to launch with like a year-long program. For, let's say, companies that are 200 to 2,000 people. So we'll see. So not quite COO stuff necessarily, but more bolt something on from the ground up type of work for that one. And then I've done some off and ons with accounting firm, landscaping firm, other trades, talking to some people right now actually in that kind of shop. So yeah, so I run the gamut, but I try to stick with companies that are probably, let's say, 30 to 100 people, something like that. You know, usually on the 30 to 50 probably is more what I find. I just think that type of company size is amazing. There's enough complexity in their systems and stuff that there's meat there to go after and clean up. And then I really love working with a management, like a leadership team, and helping the founder learn to let go. Like at least a third of my job is founder therapy.
Yes, it is.
And we just need to show you numbers. You're going to be fine. It's okay.
I am familiar with that.
Yeah. Was it the 3 words every founder needs to hear every day? Let it go.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
Shane, what's your experience with EOS specifically?
Yeah, so I got into EOS 6 years ago-ish is when I came across it. And I think got it over here somewhere, but it's called What the Heck is EOS? Was kind of how I ended up getting into that. My boss at the time, who was the CEO of a tech company headquartered out of Auckland, wanted to move us onto that model. And so we had a founder visionary, who's your classic visionary type, love him to death. And then we had our integrator. And so that was how I got into it. And within about a year and a half, that CEO finished his term, and I ended up basically running, integrating the company. So I did that as a full-time role for, I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years. Then as part of the switching into fractional, I went to the conference. Met4 is there actually.
Yeah.
Before. Yeah, and so I did the master class integrator thing, and then I've worked it with most of my fractional, people, make sure they're doing it, and I attend to energy and a bunch of other stuff. I think that EOS is a great model, and is, you don't have anything that's really bleeding edge. It's a great way to set up a business engine, right? It gives you the right rituals and cadence and formality to put some structure around how you operate.
Shane, great to talk to you again. You've had a pretty non-traditional path, I would say, from Black Hawk helicopters to business operations. How do you connect those dots?
Well, I think I was born an engineer to some extent, and I've always liked new puzzles, new challenges, things like that. And I also have wanted my life to be an adventure. And so I think I've achieved that. But I like to try new things, and that has led me on a wandering path through life, right? And what I've found is that because of that wide base of knowledge, I'm able to apply lessons, tactics, strategies, wisdom to a lot of other things just because I've got a rounded experience, I guess.
That's great.
So, Shane, you work with companies that are stuck in constant chaos. What are the first signs that a business is running on fumes instead of fuel?
Yeah, that's a good question. From an owner's perspective, the founder, it generally will feel like we've lost our agility. We're not moving fast anymore. Or the things that we used to be able to kind of keep going and keep going has become so much firefighting that we're, stuck in the quagmire. From an employee's perspective, a lot of times it feels like our founder is just going left to right to left to right to left to right. And so that also it's called visionary whiplash. But anyway, that can be really problematic. And those are the type of things that would exemplify that type of problem, I think.
Yeah, visionary whiplash.
I think we've all sort of been there. A little follow up to that though, like what sort of tactics do you employ when you run into that? Can you share a little bit about that? And do they harken back to the military days?
Yeah, well, I'm perfectly capable of doing a good knife hand if I need to, but I do try not to drill sergeant people if I can help it. But I think that the way I approach, helping a founder and their team is to one, come in and just apply some calm, right? Like, hey, the problems that you're having are problems that almost every company has. If you find one that's got it all together all the way through, buy their stock. I don't know, like that they're going to do great. That's not common. And so I like to approach the problem holistically. And because I work with small companies, I'm given the luxury to generally talk to almost every employee when I first start to work with a customer or a founder in this case. And that allows me to see their problems from all perspectives. And of course you get some commonalities, and most of the time the founder does know, the problem, but every once in a while you get a surprise. And that, by identifying that and looking at the company from kind of the different stakeholders, you're able to see problems that may be systemic, or, it may be more of a process problem here, or just a capability that was never developed. But anyway, that's how I try to identify some things that maybe we can tackle and work together through the leadership team to, like, hey, let's pick an order and let's have a roadmap and let's move forward.
Yeah, that's great. And I think what you touched on about this not being exclusive to one company, every company, almost regardless of size, is having problems on some level or another. And I've found in my own experience, the customers that I serve, that it's great once I find a solution to one customer's problem. It's often that my other customers have the same problem, so I can copy paste now that solution for them. So that's been great.
Yeah. Or maybe it's slightly different, but you've seen it close enough before that it works this way too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but just a little modifying for them. Yeah, great. Love it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were talking about businesses, and I said, if you come across somebody that says they've got their business completely buttoned up and everything's going great, they're lying. So there's that.
Yeah, or they're going to transact next Friday. Yes, that's
Right.
yeah, big old BS.
Yeah. I like this mantra. You talk about get work, do work, support work as the core
Yeah.
engine of a business. How do you diagnose what parts are misfiring when you're working in a business?
Yeah, sure. And probably we're saying the more classic way is that you would hear that is get work, do work, get paid. I,
Hmm.
I feel like support work encompasses the need that you're going to have technology, you're going to have a few other things that just the pay part. But anyway, how do I go about that? So I actually have my own operational maturity model that I built. I break a company down on those three pillars, right? So if you don't do those three things, you will cease to be as a business, right? You must do them. The difference between a not so great company and a great company is just how well you can do those three things, right? At the most basic state. There's a lot of hand waving going around that, but let's just keep it simple. Within each of those pillars, I personally like to look at people, process, systems, and your analytics, right? So I believe my thesis is that if you get those four aspects of a pillar correct, that pillar is going to perform quite well. So that's how I feel about it, or the way I go about solving the problem. And so I have my own way to assess that and then apply effectively a rubric of 1 to 5, right? How well are you doing in each of those four categories within those pillars? And so that's part of what I usually do during the first 30 days of working with a customer, along with talking to all the people.
Yeah, that's a good strategy to be able to break it down into components and compartmentalize it so you can address the issues as they are identified. That's good.
Yeah. And it gives you enough of a backbone that when you try to frame the problems to the leadership team and the founder, you have some type of shared understanding to lean on, right? So that helps inform then, a 4-quarter roadmap. And you probably already have your own strategy, Mr. Company and Mr. Founder team. Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt on one operational maturity rock per pillar per quarter. Right. And so while you're doing your other stuff this year, you're also going to make it run better. And then you're going to work less hard after that, but still get the same amount done or even more.
That's good stuff.
Kind of leads into the next question too, Shane. So with your tech background and your ops mindset, how do you help founders modernize without over engineering?
KISS methodology, honestly, is the real truth. Don't build more than you need and don't over process. That's my 2 cents anyway. That's a biased answer, but that's kind of how I approach it. If you don't need a web app, don't build a web app, right? Like, it's fine. Build a spreadsheet or just get a whiteboard. It's amazing the power that you can have with just a rudimentary process. And it doesn't always have to be high technology. That said, there are some capabilities in digital systems that will give you, a better result. And so there are situations where if you are aware that there's a more, let's say, technology centric way to solve a problem to get a better outcome, then you can at least try that. Right. And so it's not always that you need it, but it's nice to have just to compare against maybe a low poly solution. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a meeting today with a group of 8 integrators that we meet once a month in person just to talk about issue as we talked about the tech stack. And it was interesting talking to them because I said, how many of y'all have developed and documented the tech stack of your business? And nobody raised their hand. And so I pulled up an example of one from one of the clients that I'm working with. And I said, guys, you've got a people accountability chart. This is your tech stack ability. And you've got to have defined because if you don't, you are just flying blind. So.
I want to share that typically the first things that I'll do when I'm boarding a new client is I put together 3 separate stacks, as it were. One I call the contacts and stakeholder stack, all the people over there, all their contact info. The second one is the systems and the tech stack, right? And then I have a third one, which I call their spreadsheet stack. Tell me about all the spreadsheets you guys got everywhere. Where are they? Where are they hiding? What are they doing? What are they supposed to be measuring? And then I will get a nice list of all those because ultimately all those, they're probably going to have to go away. They're going to move somewhere else.
Well, that's what the company really runs on.
So I've got my contacts.
Usually important, right?
Yeah, my contact stack, my tech stack, and my spreadsheet stack.
Yeah.
That's
an old joke. We used to call them stopgap applications, right? So it's a stopgap, and then 6 years later, it's still there.
Yeah, right on.
All right. What's a system or process that you've implemented that helped a client finally break out of the stall and actually start scaling?
Sure. Sometimes it can look very basic, right? And without getting into the specifics, there was a company that I work with that was missing a process entirely. And so the quality of their production was not great. And so just by calling that out and saying, hey, you can't accept that, that's just how things are. We need to attack that. And by just being the one to champion and say, no, no, we have to fight against that. We were able to put a person in place to do the inspections that needed to be done, and the outcome was much better, right? And quality shot up. On a more information technical side, I worked with a company where their CRM was just not well configured. Right. I don't really, they were using Dynamics at the time. And I think Dynamics, if done well, can be fine, as can any system. But if you don't implement it right or you let it rot for 5, 6 years, you're going to have a bad experience. And so we actually, I moved that company from Dynamics to HubSpot and then configured it, set up some workflows and stuff like that. So the sales team were able to move so much faster, and we were able to gather so much better data than was done before. So sometimes, there really is a technical aspect to solving a problem, but it's not always true. Sometimes you just need to call something out.
Yeah, Shane, and well, it's not always well received, I guess, depending on the team. Shane,
Right.
h-
Yeah.
how do
I'm
you?
not here to be the good guy, right? That's
Yeah, not
okay.
here to be a threat.
I put that in my agreement. Like that is in my client agreement. There is a little clause in there, a provision in there that essentially just gets them to agree to the fact that like I'm here to help. I'm not here to cause disruption or to insult your process or your workflow. So you can accept that. And the more that you're going to engage with me and come align with me on this journey, the better off we're going to be. The better outcomes we're going to be. Now, granted, people can sign that all day. It's the other thing if they
Yeah.
really see it through.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious, because I'm facing these challenges myself. When you come and you bring in the system, where as you say, maybe they've had a CRM and it's just set and permanent, it's not done anything for them, and you get it all robust and it's going and it's really streamlined and you got it really cool, and they could adopt it really easily. Like, how do you interface with them to drive adoption? Is it typically you as the integrator, or are you relying and leaning on other team members, within those
Yeah.
organizations to help with that effort?
So that is, I guess, boy, I hate to say it depends, but it does. The reality is it
That
has
makes
to do with,
sense. Yeah.
it has to do with whether the people that are there have the right skill set to solve the problems that need to be solved. And so sometimes the answer to that is no. And I am lucky enough that I'm fairly intelligent and I've done a bajillion things, right? I've been a Black Hawk crew chief. I've been a lifeguard. I've worked in fast food. I've done a bunch of stuff. And so that allows me to use that. I can usually play out a position and get things done myself. That said, I'm not there to be an individual contributor. I'm there to teach a company how to company better, right?
Right.
And so
Exactly.
it can't be me that just does things. It has to be them learning how to solve problems. And so where I can, if I need to do it, I will, but I always want to look for ways to empower somebody else, even if they haven't done it before, to take that risk and do so. Yeah, emotional safety, right? Like, hey, it's okay. Give it a run. I'm here behind you and I've got you. If you fall down, it's okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. So Shane, this leads really well into this last question here for you on the ops. When you're working with a founder, how do you know when it's time to hand something back or take it off their plate entirely?
Yeah, good question. When it's time to give something back is when it is running smoothly. Usually by back, I don't mean give it back to the founder, because that's a great way to make things run less well. And that's no dig on the founder. That's not their job. Guys, if you're a founder, listen to me. If you're a founder, do not manage people. Get someone to do that for you and go do what you do, which is come up with great ideas, be a visionary, get people excited about what it is that you're doing. You believe in it more than anyone else in your company. Do that. Don't manage people. There's other people for that. That's what I'm for. But taking it away from them entirely, that's actually really a core tenet of what a COO should be doing, right? So, hey, founder or leadership team, right? Like, look at your calendar for the last 2 weeks and the next 2 weeks and tell me which of those things are, top of your license, to use the healthcare phrase, right? What are the things that only you can do and you should be doing? And how much of that time are you spending doing somebody else's job, or you just haven't taken the time to train somebody on it, so you're still doing it? No, push that down, right? Believe in your employees and let them know that they can do it. The trick is you've got to set up analytics, right? The fancy word there, but basically you just got to have a way to make sure that you can track the activity data, right? That you can see that the work is being attempted. And if you've got those type of leading indicators and they're visible, then it's very easy to see when something is starting to trend off track. And that gives your founders confidence that they can still pump brakes if they need to, right? Or grab the wheels, so to speak, right? And every founder needs to have that psychological safety of, I can always grab it if I have to. and what we want to show them is that the longer you wait, the better the rest of your company gets at moving the company in the right direction.
Stuff. So, wildcard question. What's something you believed at the start of your career that you no longer believe?
When I really first started, that I think the old paradigm of get in a company and work your way up is where I really started. I'm just on the tail end of Gen X. I was born in 79. And so that was kind of the upbringing I was brought up around, right? My grandfather, for example, he worked at the Southern Baptist Convention, and, he was there his whole career, right? He was an editor, and that was a very normal thing to do. And so that's what I don't believe in that anymore. I don't think that's the society we have any longer. And I think that, at least in my anecdotal experience, the wider your experience, the more useful you can become later in life. Should you job hop every 6 months? No, not what I'm saying. But if you get to a point in your life where the problems you're dealing with day in and day out in your job are no longer really doing it for you, and it's just a paycheck, that's a great time to look, right? Try to find something that challenges you and makes you grow, and and so on and so forth.
And you hit the nail on the head.
That's a great answer.
That one's the way I feel as well. So I have the same mindset. So.
Yeah,
totally relatable. Yeah, 100%.
It's amazing that all the integrators think alike.
Yeah.
Some even look alike.
Imagine that.
So last question here for you, Shane, and can't thank you enough for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you and picking your brain here. What is one thing that you learned while serving in the military that has shaped how you lead in business today?
Yeah, training people, for sure. The military is the best training organization on the planet. They can teach anybody darn near anything. They taught me how to pull a Black Hawk apart and put it back together when I was 19, and they did it in 5 months. And that learning how to train well and being structured about the way that you approach training matrices, show them, let them do it with help, make them do it, try not to help them, and then they're got it. There's all kinds of tactics and strategies I got from the military that I have applied in literally every job I've had since then. Like, hey, we should just do this. And it's just what the military did to me and to millions of other young adults. So
that's awesome.
The difference in the military could be a little bit of, in the private sector, people can just tell you, no, I don't feel like it, man.
That's true.
I mean, I guess you could do that in the service too, but.
Well, in the service, you can't fire people.
Right.
So there's some trade-offs to that, but you can make them put on chemical suit and clean the ditch. So,
there are ways.
I mean, I have done that once or twice because I was a little punk when I was 19.
We had a phrase called latrine queen. Maybe you're familiar with that one.
That's right.
That's great.
All right, Boris, take us out.
All right. This was Shane Sloan reminding us that scaling a business isn't going faster. It's about running smoother. From Black Hawk helicopters to business engines, he's built a career around fixing the systems others overlook. When operations align, people thrive and businesses grow. I'm Forrest.
I'm Tony.
This has been Fixers and Founders.
Oh, my darlings, look at you. Still here with me till the end. That's how I know you're one of us. The fixers, the founders, the ones who build in the chaos and still manage to laugh through it. Drop a comment, share your sparks, and connect with each other. This is where the net weaving begins. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the fire blazing. Until next time.